My name is Emily and I'm from Oregon. I've always been the kind of person who tries to make the holidays special for everyone. I'm the one who remembers your favorite pie flavor, the one who wraps every gift with care, and the one who insists we take a family photo, even when everyone groans. Christmas has always been my favorite time of year. It wasn't just about gifts or food, it was about togetherness. At least that's what I believed. This story didn't start with a big fight or some dramatic moment. It began quietly, with little things I brushed off. About 3 weeks before Christmas, we had a group chat going to plan our annual family trip. My mom, my two brothers, my aunt, a few cousins, we'd been doing this trip for years. This time, the plan was to spend Christmas week in a cozy cabin near Lake Tahoe. Snow hot chocolate games by the fireplace. I was excited and I offered to help with bookings like I always did. At first, everything felt normal. I suggested dates, researched cabins, and even sent over a few good deals. My mom said she'd talk to everyone and confirm. But then, nothing. Days went by. When I followed up, they said they were still deciding or that I should just relax. I told myself not to overthink it. Maybe they were busy. Maybe they forgot to reply. I kept reminding myself that I was part of the plan I always had been. But slowly things started to feel off. My cousin texted about a packing list, but when I replied, she never responded. My brother mentioned something about ski passes in a call with our mom, a call I hadn't even been invited to. I began to notice I wasn't being included in key conversations. At first, I thought maybe I had missed a message or two, maybe my phone had glitched. But deep down, something felt wrong, like I was being quietly cut out. Still, I held on to the hope that it was all just miscommunication. I kept asking questions, kept volunteering to help. I even offered to drive half the family up there, thinking that maybe they were just waiting for me to take the lead. But my messages started going unanswered more and more. The group chat became silent. I even checked to see if I'd been removed. I hadn't, but it was like I'd become invisible. I remember one evening sitting on my couch scrolling through Pinterest for ideas on Christmas snacks to bring to the cabin. I was excited even though something in my gut kept nagging at me. I tried to ignore it. I told myself families get disorganized, that I was just reading too much into things. After all, why would they plan a trip without me? That would be unthinkable. I'm the one who's always there. I'm the one who cares. But that's the thing about being the person who always shows up, you assume others will do the same. You assume love is enough. You assume loyalty means something. I didn't know it yet, but I was about to find out that sometimes the people you love the most are the ones who will leave you behind the quietest. And it always starts with small signs you're too hopeful to see. Christmas Eve came with a cold silence I couldn't explain. I woke up that morning, still holding on to a bit of hope. Maybe they'd text. Maybe there'd be a last-minute plan. Maybe someone would knock on my door with hot cocoa and say, "We wanted to surprise you. I know it sounds naive, but when you love people, you give them more chances than they deserve." That morning, I lit the fireplace, turned on some Christmas music, and baked sugar cookies like I always do. I even wrapped a few last-minute gifts just in case we exchanged them that night. But as the hours passed, the silence got louder. It was around 4 p.m. when I started to feel it in my chest, that heavy, sinking realization. No one had messaged, no one had called. The group chat hadn't lit up all day. I picked up my phone and sent a simple message. "What time should I head over?" It sat there, read but ignored. A few minutes later, I sent a private text to my mom. "Hey, just making sure I didn't miss anything. Are we still doing Christmas at the cabin?" No reply. Something inside me shifted. I opened Instagram, not really knowing what I was looking for. Maybe a photo of someone's tree or a Christmas recipe. But then I saw it. A picture posted by my cousin. The caption read, "Christmas magic begins," and the photo showed the cabin. The exact one I had suggested weeks ago. Everyone was there. My brothers, my mom, my cousins, even the family dog. They were standing in front of the fireplace I had bookmarked in a rental app, laughing, smiling, wearing matching pajamas. My hands went cold. I stared at the photo for a long time trying to make sense of it. Was it old? Was it a joke? Maybe it was a dream or a mistake. But it wasn't. It was happening in real time without me. They had left. They had planned the whole thing, packed their bags, and driven away without saying a word. The worst part wasn't being excluded, it was the quiet way they did it. No argument, no honest conversation, just silence, like I had been erased. I sat there completely still. The cookies were burning in the oven and I didn't even notice. It felt like something inside me cracked. Not a loud break, just a quiet snap, like a rope that had been stretched too far for too long. I didn't cry right away. I thought I would. But I didn't. Instead, I stood up, turned off the oven, and went to my room. I lay on my bed, fully dressed, staring at the ceiling. All the moments came flooding back every time I had shown up for them, every gift I had wrapped, every text I had sent to make sure everyone felt included, and they couldn't even send one to me. Then I remembered something. The cabin reservation. It had been made using my account. Weeks ago, when I thought I'd be joining them, I had volunteered to handle the booking like I always did. I was the one who found the cabin, spoke to the owner, and made the payment with our shared family travel card. Technically, it was in my name. At the time, it felt like a harmless task, but now, it meant something different. I sat up, opened my laptop, and logged into the reservation site. My hands were shaking, but I found it quickly. The booking was active, they were checked in, and the cancellation option was still available. I stared at the screen for what felt like forever. I wasn't sure what I was thinking. I wasn't sure if I should. But then I heard the notification sound. Another photo had been posted, a boomerang of them clinking mugs. My brother had added the caption, "Best Christmas ever." That's when it stopped being painful and started feeling insulting. I wasn't trying to be vengeful. I wasn't trying to ruin their holiday. But something about that moment made me realize they didn't think twice about leaving me out. And maybe, just maybe, they needed to feel what that silence felt like. I clicked the cancel button. The confirmation message popped up. "Are you sure you want to cancel your reservation?" I clicked yes. There was no dramatic music, no evil grin on my face, just a strange, quiet calm. It was the first time in a long time that I had done something for myself, not to please, not to impress, not to earn love, just because I could, because it was mine, and they had forgotten that. 10 minutes later, my phone started buzzing, missed calls, messages. My mom texted first. "Did something happen with the booking?" My cousin followed up with, "Hey, the cabin says we're no longer checked in." I didn't answer. Not right away. I needed them to sit in that confusion for a little while longer. I needed them to feel just a sliver of what I had felt sitting alone next to a tray of burned cookies. It wasn't about revenge. It was about clarity, about drawing a line, about saying, even in silence, "You don't get to treat me like this and expect everything to stay the same." That night, I didn't sleep much. Not because I felt guilty, I didn't, but because everything inside me was finally starting to settle after being tossed around for so long. I kept staring at my phone, lighting up with texts I wasn't ready to read. One after another. First confusion, then panic, then the guilt started to show. "Why would you cancel the cabin? Where are you? We thought you weren't coming." That one made me laugh out loud. They thought I wasn't coming. I had sent messages. I had offered rides. I had asked questions. They just didn't respond. And now they wanted to play innocent. I didn't reply that night. Instead, I sat by the fireplace alone, with my cocoa and the sound of the wind brushing against the windows. The silence that used to hurt me suddenly felt like peace. No pressure. No pretending. No need to smile through the sting of being overlooked. Just me breathing fully for the first time in a while. By morning, the messages had shifted again. Now came the blame. My aunt wrote, "I can't believe you would do this on Christmas." My brother added, "You ruined everything." My mom didn't say anything direct, but she sent me a voice note. I didn't listen to it. Not because I didn't care, but because I finally cared enough about myself to not invite more damage in. I had spent so many years accepting half-hearted love, thinking it was the best I could get. I had excused so many things, covered up so many hurt feelings, just to keep the family from falling apart. But now I was done being the glue when no one cared if I cracked. Around noon, I finally replied just one sentence. I wasn't included, so I removed myself. That was it. No explanation. No long speech. No drama. Just the truth. And the most surprising thing, no one replied after that. Not a single word. Not even an emoji. That silence told me more than any apology ever could. They knew. And maybe they didn't want to admit it, but deep down, they knew I was right. For the first time in years, I stopped chasing their approval. I didn't feel the need to fix things. I didn't bend myself into something smaller just to fit into their version of family. Instead, I went for a walk that afternoon. The streets were quiet, the sky was overcast, and the cold air felt honest. I bought myself a hot drink from a local cafe and sat on a bench watching families laugh, kids run in the snow, couples holding hands. I didn't feel jealous. I didn't feel bitter. I just felt still. Like I had finally stepped out of a story I never really belonged to. Back at home, I opened the gift I had wrapped for myself, a simple sweater I'd been eyeing for weeks. I lit a candle, turned on a classic Christmas movie, and curled up with a blanket. No one was there, but I didn't feel alone. That was the biggest shift, because before I could be in a room full of my family and still feel invisible. Now I was just by myself and I felt seen. It's strange how silence can sometimes be the loudest truth. How one quiet moment can teach you more about love, loyalty, and self-worth than years of noise. I don't know what they ended up doing after the cabin was canceled. Maybe they found another place. Maybe they blamed me in every conversation. Maybe they told themselves I overreacted. And maybe they'll keep telling that story for years. But I know what really happened. I know what it feels like to be left out by the people you love most. I know what it feels like to sit in that ache and not let it swallow you. And I know what it feels like to finally stop waiting for someone to choose you and start choosing yourself. Christmas didn't look like I imagined it would. There were no matching pajamas, no loud games, no family photos by a decorated tree. But there was something better. There was honesty. There was peace. There was the beginning of a new kind of love, one that started with me. A few days later, they came back from the trip. I knew the second they got home because the group chat suddenly came back to life. Someone sent a blurry photo of a board game, another shared a video of the dog running through snow. No one mentioned the cancellation. No one asked if I was okay. It was like they had decided to skip that part entirely, like if they ignored it long enough it would disappear. But I wasn't the same anymore. I had changed quietly, but completely. I didn't want fake smiles or shallow check-ins. I wanted honesty, or nothing at all. My mom finally called. I didn't pick up. She left a voicemail sounding soft and careful, like she was walking on eggshells. She said she was sorry if I felt left out, those exact words. Sorry if... Not, sorry we left you out. That's the thing with families, sometimes they don't apologize for the action. They apologize for your reaction. Like the problem wasn't what they did, but how you took it. I didn't call her back. For a while I stayed quiet. I needed space. Not the kind where you take a weekend off and come back pretending everything's fine, real space. The kind where you let silence stretch out until the truth has room to breathe. During that time, I thought a lot about what I wanted moving forward. Did I still want to be part of a family that only remembered me when they needed help? Did I still want to show up for people who couldn't bother to notice when I wasn't there? The answer was hard, because part of me still loved them. That's the tricky thing about love, it doesn't always turn off when respect disappears. I still missed certain things. Laughing at old stories. Singing along to Christmas music while decorating the tree. The warm chaos of it all. But I also knew I couldn't go back to who I was before. I couldn't pretend their silence didn't speak volumes. I couldn't unfeel the moment I saw that photo of them all at the cabin without me. Eventually, I sat down and wrote a letter. Not for them, for me. I wrote everything I'd been holding in. How it felt to be excluded. How often I'd made excuses for their behavior. How tired I was of feeling like an outsider in a place that was supposed to feel like home. I didn't sugarcoat anything. I let the words come out as they were honest, raw, a little messy. And when I finished, I folded it up and put it in a box with the other things I was letting go of. That box held more than just a letter. It held years of trying too hard, photos from trips where I felt invisible, cards I wrote that no one ever responded to, little pieces of love I kept giving out, hoping one day I'd get some back. Closing that box didn't mean I stopped caring. It just meant I stopped begging. Now, when people ask me about my family, I tell the truth. Not to shame them, but to honor myself. I say, we're not as close as we used to be. Or sometimes, I've learned that love doesn't always come with kindness. And that's okay. Because I've also learned that I can build new connections with people who see me, who show up, who don't need a holiday to remember I matter. That Christmas changed everything. Not in the dramatic movie magic way, but in a quiet, necessary way. It taught me how to stop shrinking. It showed me that sometimes choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. And most of all, it reminded me that real love doesn't exclude. It doesn't forget. It doesn't make you question your worth. And if it does, then maybe it was never love to begin with. And that's how it all unfolded. From being ignored and dismissed to taking back control with quiet strength and steady resolve, this story showed us more than just a dramatic twist in a broken family. It reminded us what it means to stand up even when no one believes in you. It reminded us that no matter how deep the wounds go, healing begins the moment you stop chasing their approval and start choosing your own peace. We watched as the main character faced betrayal, not just from a sister, but from a mother who looked the other way. She didn't fight back with anger or revenge. She didn't scream or try to prove anything with words. Instead, she let her actions speak. She walked away from the chaos. She rebuilt her life. And when they finally saw her again, it wasn't the same broken girl they were looking at, a woman who had already moved on quietly, but powerfully. So what can we take from this? Sometimes you won't get closure from the people who hurt you. And that's okay. You don't need their apology to start healing. You don't need their validation to know your worth. Some people won't understand your silence, but that silence may be the loudest thing you ever say. If this story struck a chord with you, it's probably because you've felt invisible too. You've been told to keep the peace, while others created storms. You've been told family is everything while being treated like nothing. And yet you're still here, still standing, still growing. Let that be your power. You don't have to prove them wrong. Just prove to yourself that you deserve better, and go get it. Build the life you want. Create your own peace. Surround yourself with people who see you, value you, and never ask you to shrink just to make them comfortable. Because sometimes the most powerful revenge is simply no longer needing one. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, leave a comment below. Share your own experience or just say, I hear you. You never know who might need to read it. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe. We have more stories coming that dig deep, speak truth, and remind you that even in your pain, you're not alone.